So a man was pulled out of the Monongahela River. He was drowning. And he was pulled out of the river by 2, or actually 4 people, but they were cyclists. They stopped and they came to the man's rescue, which can only mean one thing. The Mon Monster attacked a man and the cyclists came to his rescue, meaning that the two parties are feuding, the two enemies of Brian Crawford, the two of the most vile people, organizations, criminals in the city are at war, meaning that we're in a pretty good place here, Michael.
Sounds like it, Brian. An enemy of your enemy is your...
Well, they're both
your
enemies.
What?
So if they're warring with one another, that puts us in a very strong position to put both of these criminals in the Pittsburgh community.
Or by the sounds of it, civilians such as yourself could just get caught in the crossfire.
I could, yeah, that is kind of frightening. I am Brian Crawford. I am Pittsburgh's moral compass, your voice of reason among 3 rivers of chaos, here with Michael Cohen, an avid cyclist. So I know who you are cheering for in this war between the big bike lobby and the Mon Monster here in Pittsburgh.
We will crush the Mon Monster.
That could actually provide an interesting scenario for myself, as then I could have a laser focus on the bike lobby, and I would not be fighting a war on 2 fronts, let's just say that. The city would be a much safer place.
There is still no bike lobby.
There's a huge bike lobby in Pittsburgh. So this is a true story. It says, according to WPXI, they call them Good Samaritans, rescued a man alive after falling into the Monongahela, and that was on a Sunday morning. So I feel like that is a recipe for disaster. People swim in those rivers, and I feel like that can't be a good idea.
There's one you can swim in and one you're really not supposed to. Well, there's one everyone knows you shouldn't, and then one the authorities also say you shouldn't. I forget which. I think the Allegheny is the, quote, clean one.
The one that Alcosan sends all of the sewage into.
One of them's worse than the other, and I can never remember which one it is.
I don't know. Anyways, I'm interested to see how this battle develops, where the war goes. You're listening to the River's Edge Radio Network, Pittsburgh's voice for local music. We have lots of music news in store for you today. We have Will Jurgens, who is here, PM Mirror, and he has a new release that he has coming out on Thursday. We're going to talk to him about that. We also have Mark Dignam here, and Tim Wolfson will be joining us as well to talk about music for MS a little bit later in the program. But yeah, this war, it's going on. We will see. We will track it. We will find out what is going on. I'll see if I can get Stephen Lipko, our marine biologist, in studio at some point in the coming weeks to see what spurred upon this war, what brought it upon, where it's going, and things like that. They are making some changes to Liberty Avenue. I don't know if you've seen that, but they are talking about turning the 4-lane, 2 lanes each way, into a 3-lane road, turning one of the lanes not into a bike lane. No, I knew you were waiting for it. No, they're actually doing something to help the automobile driver. They're going to turn one of those lanes into a turning lane, which I think is a great idea. I don't know if you've driven much on Liberty Avenue going through the Strip District.
Yeah, all the time.
Okay, so you know it's a very tight road. It's a very uncomfortable road to drive down. I used to have to drive down that road with a box truck, and you would have to kind of hug the middle of the middle of the 2 lanes in order to keep your mirrors from getting clipped. So I'm hoping that maybe by turning one of those lanes into a turning lane, it might.
Maybe I don't understand which to turn which way and for who, and so
it would be turning left. Like if you're going out of the city,
okay,
turning left towards the Strip District.
Gotcha.
Because if you think about it, that would be the only thing that would make sense, because
it's not going to make it any wider though, huh?
No, but if you get those people out of the way, you've got less people crisscrossing.
Okay.
Which I think will ease up some of the confusion going out of the city. So I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I guess I'm never trying to turn left on there, because left is to the Strip District, which is a one-way street back the way from which I just came.
But what if you want to, I don't know, get something to eat or go shop or do something in the Strip District?
Yeah.
You never go to the Strip District.
I mean, Brian, you know how I go to the Strip District.
Yeah, okay. I figured you would be a big fan of the Strip District.
No, I do.
It washes out into this giant, useless bike lane that
I love the
dumps you
Strip
off
District.
into traffic downtown.
I just go on two wheels.
Well, yeah, so there you go. People ride their bikes down Liberty Avenue, and they...
I do not. No, see, that's where Spring Way comes in. Spring Way is this magical garbage alley.
Yeah, I love that road. I use that road all the time. Absolutely.
It's incredible. I would have never found that. This is the first city I've moved to since the invent of Google Maps. Like, I've moved before, but I've never gotten to explore a city with Google Maps. And so just, like, Googling how I should get everywhere. And, yeah, one night on my way home from work, I was like, how do I bike home from work? And it was like, take Spring Way. And I was like, this trash alley? And actually, it's perfect.
It is great. And I don't understand why anybody does use Liberty Avenue. Like, I'm one of those people, even in my car, I don't use that road, but other communities, I will use, like, a back alley to avoid traffic. Like, when I go home to Irwin, I could take Oak Street all the way in with a million stop signs and all of the traffic, or I can go on the parallel alley and miss all of it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. To me, it's an interesting, just an interesting diversion. I prefer to avoid traffic at all costs. So, do you think this is a war between cyclists and the Mon Monster, or do you think this is just a random occurrence of somebody drowning in the Monongahela?
War is a strong word. This is not technically a war. Let's say this is a skirmish. This was a skirmish. In a steady escalation. But I think war, no one wants war, Mon Monster, if you catch my drift.
Apparently,
was the person who was drowning...
We've got Will here. What's this?
Was the person who was drowning a cyclist?
That's a good question. I haven't found that information. It doesn't say that in the article. It just says that he was clinging to a barge, and they jumped in to save him. So... yeah. So it says one man tied a rope to the dock and threw it down to the man who was drowning so they could pull him up. So they didn't actually go into the water. I mean, they didn't put themselves in any kind of personal harm. They just threw a rope in.
Also, I don't understand why this guy didn't just swim to the side. He
was trying to save the coal industry.
Yes, he was exactly. He's trying to make Pittsburgh great again, man. What do you?
But does anyone know how he got there, though? I mean, I
don't know. I'm telling you, it was an attack.
There's a lot about the story that's intriguing, honestly.
Yes, well, this guy just appears in the water with no backstory, and that's highly suspicious.
Right.
I don't think it's suspicious at all.
Someone trying to whack this guy? Like...
Yes! The Mon Monster. He probably is a cyclist. He was thrown into the river in an attempt to send a message. We will see if that message has been received.
The man had no thumbs.
From where I sit, it seems almost as if the cyclists were the angels in the situation, you know?
No.
If the person wasn't a cyclist, then, you know, the cyclist came in and swooped in and got him out. That's like some, like... light opening,
and then
up,
they
you see
probably
the guy in the helmet,
and then they probably beat him with their what is that air pump that they keep with them. They probably bludgeoned him with it after they got him out of the water.
We beat assailants with U-locks, not bike pumps.
Oh,
please, Brian.
That makes more sense. Okay. So, yeah. In case you're unaware, Will, they are the cyclists of Pittsburgh are my sworn enemy in the city of Pittsburgh, waging war against the righteous automobile drivers who are just trying to make this city a happier, fuzzier, warmer place.
I'm Brian's two-wheeled nemesis.
Right.
So, all right, we're gonna take a quick timeout, and when we come back, we're going to talk with Will about his upcoming release. And we've got Music for MS up later. And then, of course, 3 weird stories to keep the Mon Monster at bay, which may be more important today than it has been in previous weeks. But we've got Will Jurgens up next here on Pittsburgh's Voice for Local Music, The River's Edge. Welcome back to the River's Edge Radio Network. Brian Crawford here with Michael Cohen, and with us we have Will Jurgens, who has a big release coming out on Thursday.
Yeah.
Live streaming it. So tell us a little bit about that. You're live streaming it from your Twitch account?
Yeah, so
How does that work? Because I thought Twitch was more for video games.
right. It was kind of... Twitch was built as a video game community. Like, they stream a lot of, like, Dota, League of Legends, Super Smash Brothers. Basically any video game, they'll stream competitive stuff there. But what's really interesting about it is that there are a lot of people who will just play video games, stream it as entertainment, and it's a really interesting way to kind of build a community around either like your art or around your entertainment or whatever, but like build a community of people who are coming back for not just kind of the stuff you're putting out, but like to interact with each other in chat and stuff. So they actually just opened it up for musicians, and there's people on there kind of doing it more as like every day they'll stream a certain amount of time, like do
kind of like a
requests.
show, almost like kind
Yeah.
of like what we do here, type of a deal.
Right. My goal for Twitch and like my thoughts towards it are, I think it would be a really cool landing spot for fans, like a way for if people are interested in my music and like maybe see me live or stumble upon me in the internet somehow, you can tie it back to this once a week thing where for an hour or two I'm sitting down bringing you into my living room, basically explaining what's gone on in that week and showing the things I've been making and in this case putting out new music.
Is there an advantage to Twitch over YouTube or Facebook Live or anything like that?
I just think Twitch has a better culture and a better interface for it. Like YouTube is already known as its own thing. Like public perception is pretty much the biggest thing in any of these cases, and like Twitch started as a live streaming platform, and the whole way that it was designed was to allow people to build communities online, which I think is super cool because it's very easy to kind of pump out content that you can get people to click on, you can get paid for and stuff, but and that's cool if people want to do that, but I'm much more interested in gathering a group of people who can talk and get something out of that moment kind of bigger than just zoning out for a little bit, and that platform seems to me to be poised the best for that kind of thing.
Well, not to take you on a little history lesson, but Twitch, believe it or not, actually started out as basically what Facebook Live is now to the average person. Not like what we do with Facebook Live, but like, the average person, hey, I don't know, reading the Post-Gazette while taking a shit type of a thing. That's what Twitch was originally made for, actually, was those people broadcasting their average day life. And I don't know if that's really a commentary on our society, because it failed massively when Twitch tried to do it, and that's why they switched to video games, and now that's what everybody does. Everybody just videos themselves doing very mundane things. So, but it's interesting because it was a societal shift. Twitch started out with that. It failed. They had to rebrand in order to survive. And actually, Google was originally interested in buying Twitch before they bought YouTube. And they turned them down, and then Twitch ended up selling to Amazon for like over $1 billion.
Yeah, now you can like sync your Twitch up with Amazon Prime and everything. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
The whole, kind of to get back to what the whole point is I basically have people who care about my stuff on Facebook, and Facebook's cool for what Facebook is, but like it's not necessarily where I'd want like my fan base to congregate, because it's just not built for that. It's built for, like things with the text on the top, text on the bottom, videos. You won't believe what this is. Like, it's just not it's not really the best place to connect. So I have this one song that I'm putting out, and it kind of completes a trilogy of singles that I've put out in the past few months, and I'm going to do a stream on Facebook, on my Facebook, and do a little set list there, and then invite everybody to come over to Twitch and follow me there.
Yeah. So what is the name of the new song? Tell me about it.
It's called All Right. And for those of you who don't know anything about my music, I basically have 4 songs out right now, and they're very intentional. 2 were kind of just testing the waters of putting stuff out and figuring out what that feels like, and then I put out 2 singles. The one is Pretty, and that's a very like upbeat, catchy song, and that's kind of meant to be like skin. It's something that everybody can look at, and everybody can at some level interact with it and feel it. It's upbeat, it's catchy. Then there's a song called Sophie, which is meant to be like flesh. It's kind of like a little bit more in depth. It's meant more for kind of listening to in your car while you're driving, or if you're just sitting around with friends, like talking. And then this song that I'm releasing is kind of like Bone. It's like this is the core of what drives me and what motivates me as a person, and it's more in the vein of kind of as vulnerable as I could possibly get in a song. So I think between those three, it's a good precedent for kind of the three kind of songs I could put out in any format. So
what will you be playing? I know you have got your hands on a few different instruments.
This one is mostly piano, because I like the idea of whenever I write music, it's normally sitting down with the piano and kind of working it out, and then going into, I use Logic, I make beats in Logic, and going into Logic and kind of programming all the other little noises that I hear in my head around the live performance. So it's kind of, because when I'm writing it, I'm hearing this stuff as it's going, so it's just a matter of shaping that stuff and bending it around the thing that's just like that live moment. Because you know how when you're like watching a live show and the band's like really getting into it and there's like that moment that like you're a part of, like I think it's really important when you're recording music that it's that type of moment you're capturing, and all the electronic stuff is bent and shaping that and allowing that to be propped up. So that was definitely...
Is it hard to channel that when you're recording something because you don't have that audience in front of you? You're in the back of your mind, you know, you can go back and redo it.
Honestly, I think in this day and age you always have an audience in front of you. Like, I mean, there are times, like, I have my places where I know I can be one-on-one with myself, but in general, if you are speaking into a microphone, if you are speaking into a camera, if you're speaking anywhere that there's a phone in the room, there's an audience. Like, and as a result, I just think, I mean, that's kind of the whole point with the Twitch. That's the whole point of a live stream. That's the whole point of it, this connectivity. And I think it's really easy for me to be recording and looking at a microphone and knowing in the back of my mind that this is, you know, this is standing at the top of, I think of like Machu Picchu or whatever, how they designed the sound to carry, like as it goes down the steps in like Aztec culture. It's like this microphone is speaking out over the steps, and it's going to trickle down, and it's going to, even if it's not big now, like if it's out there, it has potential to be looked back upon at some point. So it's all, I think it's pretty easy for me to keep that in perspective.
Well, plus you as a musician, that's one thing I always enjoyed about watching you. You take every performance very seriously. I remember when I was in marching band and we would perform at the football games and we all kind of like rolled our eyes. We were a big competition band and we kind of felt like it was a waste of our time, and the band director probably agreed with us, but he would, you know, not say that to us. He would say, you know, well, every performance is an opportunity to get better at your craft, to hone in on skills, to kind of sharpen things up. And, you know, even at a football game where no one, you know, we weren't, again, we were a competition band, so we did not play pep music. We played the music we would use in our competition. And he's like, even if nobody's paying attention to you, it's still, you know, you still have that audience in front of you. And I know you, looking when you perform at open mics and things like that, you take all of those performances, I feel, extremely seriously as well.
To an extent, but I think it's also important not to take, I mean, like, you can take an event seriously, but I think it's important not to take yourself too seriously. Like, I think if you're going to an open mic, like, all right, I need to make sure everybody in this place knows that I'm the best person here. Like, you're going into it with the wrong mentality. Because, like, that's not, I think any live show in general, like, you go into it with a, like, obviously I want people to like my music and I want people to be impressed by the thing that I've been back at my house developing for years, right? That's something that's inherently going to be there. But if your sense of self-worth, like especially at something like an open mic where you're going up there and putting something on display, if that's tied to solely to how other people are reacting to it, you're going to walk away from it without getting the most that you can out of it. And honestly, that's something that I hashed out. Like, that's a life lesson that I hashed out here at the Mr. Smalls open mics. Like, that's something that I had to learn in real time from coming to these open mics and kind of gauging how I was going into it and being like, okay, this is why this sucked, because you had your head on wrong. This is why this was fun, because you had your head on right. And it's, I don't know, very cause and effect, you know?
Yeah. So do you expect like a big turnout for the live stream? How are you promoting that? Obviously, coming on here is one of those ways.
Yeah. Also, I just like I like your show, so I wanted to come on and feel it out too. But yeah, I think the main thing for me is getting the people, because I posted a video for like Pretty, which is the poppy song that I've posted like a video of me, just kind of like a live stream of me just singing and dancing, and like that got like 13,000, which isn't a huge number in the grand scheme of things, but like it's pretty cool for Facebook, and so I feel like I have people there who are interested in what I'm doing.
Would you actively work to make those numbers happen, or no? Okay.
No, that's just something that like I'm actively working to make the Twitch thing good, and to make like my website. I've put a lot of work into that, and the music I've put a lot of work into that, and I have my model of how I want things to flow and how I want people to interact, and this to me is taking that step of like saying, okay, it's cool that you like me here, but like I'm moving now in a direction where like if you want to interact with me, this is how it's gonna, like this is how I'm gonna, this is my structure, this is how you can interact with me if you want to. And that's my goal, specifically tailored to getting people from Facebook over. And any audience, I suppose, like anyone can tune into Twitch, anyone can watch it, whether you have an account or not. But yeah, kind of getting more people to land there and see what that's all about, as well as just listen to the song. Like I think this is a song that, frankly, I think this is a song that a lot of people need to hear right now. Like it's called All Right, and like the hook is, here tonight, I'm telling myself it's gonna be all right. Like that's the hook. And it's a simple song, but I just think it's a song that is a decisive step in a direction for me and for someone willing to embrace it, you know, a step in a direction. So
when is this song coming to the River's Edge? We have some of your songs on rotation, in the rotation right now. When is this one trickling over?
I'll give it to you as soon as it's out.
All right.
You know, that's how it's been every time, you know?
Sounds good. Well, we look forward to having it here. That's Thursday. What time is the live stream so people can find out, and where can people find it? Obviously on Twitch, but how do people navigate Twitch if they're unfamiliar?
Right. So it's basically like anything else, like Facebook. You can log on to twitch.tv, and you could go directly to my channel. It would just be twitch.tv/PM Mirror Live, or you can go on and just look up PM Mirror Live in the search box. An even easier way would be to just go to my website, which is thepmmirror.com, and I'll probably go on Facebook and post all this in the comments of this video and stuff. But if you go on there, it has links to my Twitch. It has links to, you can get my music on Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud. So basically anything that I have out, any way that you can digest it, you can reach that from my website. So that would be the best way to get on board there. And once you're on Twitch, you can sign up, make an account, follow me, or just watch sample and see if you like it.
Very cool. So, Will, you have a weird news story for us as well, right?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Well, let's roll into that. It's Will Jurgens, PM Mirror, again this Thursday. Check it out on Twitch. We've got your weird news, and it is right now. This is Pittsburgh's #1 weapon, fighting against the Mon Monsters, saving the city from absolute destruction each and every week. As you heard at the beginning of today's program, we are at a critical time. Mon Monster activity along the Mon, attacking a civilian, inciting a war between the big bike lobby. But Will, you have a story for us. #1, what is the first weird news story of the day? Hopefully we can ease the beast's rage here at riversedgepgh.com.
So this wasn't planned at all, but mine is actually a story about a body of water being destructive towards humanity.
Okay, go on.
So I think this happened in like either Australia or New Zealand a couple days ago.
Okay.
But this 16-year-old kid was walking into the beach, like walking into the water to cool off after soccer practice, was just like in up to his shins. And he walked out and he was just bleeding, like from where the water was down, like bleeding out, like leaving puddles of blood. And he went back home. They like couldn't even get the blood like rinsed off. Like it was coming so fast that they couldn't see like where the cuts were. And it was both of his feet. And like if you look at these pictures, it's literally like he's wearing like high socks of like.
And it's just his feet bleeding. Why
Right.
did he get? How did that happen? What was the
Here's
cause?
the thing. This is what's weird about it. Is like they took him to the hospital, finally got it clean, like gave him a bunch of stitches, and it was just like little pinprick needles the entire way up, and they have no idea what did it. Like some were saying it could have been sea lice or whatever, but apparently he was only standing in there for like 15-30 minutes
Wow.
and just walked out, and all these little pricks like in his legs and feet. It's crazy. I'm sure if you look up like Australia feet cutter, I saw it on Reddit. I don't even know what you would have to look up to find it, but it's I saw that and I was like, okay, that's pretty weird.
That is bizarre. You've heard about that flesh-eating bacteria, correct? Any of you?
I haven't.
No.
There's a few years
bacteria
ago
in the
North
water.
Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll like eat the flesh right off of your body. So.
It was produced from other bacteria, but by exposing them to antibiotics over and over again. I mean, accidentally,
okay,
obviously,
yeah.
and then the weak ones die every time you expose them to antibiotics, and so it's actually this product of factory farm waste, right? Because they give the animals antibiotics. Antibiotics run into the rivers and produce these super bacteria. Is the theory behind that?
And now they can travel all the
Fantastic.
way to Australia.
And just
Perhaps.
prick at
All
people's
the way
legs.
from North Carolina.
So maybe this is like some sort of mutant form of this bacteria. I don't know.
Or maybe it's a literal. You remember that one X-Men movie where there was the guy who was able to do like porcupine spikes out of his body? And his
Okay,
only role in
yes.
the movie was that he walked up to a woman and gave her a hug and was like, "It's gonna be okay," and then went and like did his. And that was his only role in the movie. Exit scene, not seen for the rest of the movie.
Fantastic. Maybe he's found a new role.
Yeah.
So, Michael, you've got a weird news story.
All right, yeah. So Facebook, as we all know, is trying to develop the end of the world. And one of the fronts on which they're doing that is artificial intelligence. And so they had created 2 different AIs and were attempting to teach them how to communicate over a relatively simple task, just sharing balls. And rapidly, these 2 AIs found English to be sort of inefficient and developed their own language by which to communicate that was more efficient, that the humans in the room could not follow or decode. And they have theories around how this language was working, but ultimately they had to shut down the 2 AIs because they couldn't understand what they were doing. And I think this points to the thing that people don't understand about artificial intelligence, right? Because everyone's like, oh, why would it just turn evil and exterminate us? And the thing is, it's not evil. It works by the same logic that capitalism and industry work by, which is just efficiency. And I think the thing people forget is that humans are not efficient, right? So once you've programmed something to do a particular thing, AI won't hate us any more than we hate ants when we build a garden, right? Or any more than we actually hate slugs. It's not that we dislike them. They're just in our way and we don't care about their lives.
From what I understand is these AI were designed to basically operate like this in kind of...
All AI is,
Yeah.
ultimately. Right, I mean, that's the thing is you're not going to create an AI to be inefficient, right? But I mean, this is the same thing where they're, laying fiber optic cables between Chicago and New York in order to take seconds off of stock trades and stuff. Everything operates to this sort of logic, and and now every time we build, because how do you relegate an AI to only discussing things in the most inefficient way, which is like the pathetic English language? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that is one more. So I could have even saved that one for why the world is going to end.
Yeah,
at
we
the end
very
of the
well
episode.
could. Yeah. So, in Connecticut, a boy received an unpleasant surprise, according to the Associated Press, when he found that he was sharing a bed with a skunk. And, a lot of people like to sleep with animals. They sleep with their cats, sleep with the dogs, but usually a skunk is not at the top of that list. And the family was able to remove the skunk by themselves, so I wonder what that house smells like now. It reminds me of a story when I went to battle with a team of skunks that tried to attack us. So we were out camping. This is a true story. It was like a gang of skunks that tried to surround us and attack us. We were out at a family trip, and we had tents at the time. This is before we upgraded to campers. And we're sleeping, and something was nudging my mom in her tent on her foot, and she's like, "What do you want? What do you want?" She thought somebody was nudging her, so she opens the tent slightly, and she sees a skunk, and of course she screams, "Ah!" because there's a skunk outside of her tent. So we go outside, and all of a sudden we find out we're at Keystone State Park. So apparently it's like a haven for skunks. I don't know. But there's 15 skunks that have literally surrounded the campsite, and they're closing in. And one of them turns around and lifts up its tail, and I take a rock and chuck it and hit the skunk right in the middle of its ass crack. It goes taking off. And somehow, the entire, gang dispersed.
Oh, my God.
And the family was saved. Because that's a nightmare when you get sprayed by a skunk.
Camping. Oh, my God.
Well, just in general. I mean, it takes forever to get that smell off of you.
Yeah, no, Connecticut is lousy with skunks. I grew up there, and we were always walking around, in high school, we'd always be walking around at night, and you could smell it, down the block a little bit, and you just reroute and take an entirely different route, because it's so dark you can't see it, I actually, this happened in Hamden. I lived in Hamden for a year and a half. It's a tiny town on the edge of New Haven. And I was going to school in New Haven at Southern Connecticut State University and would bike into town every day. Mm-hmm. Go work at my stupid coffee shop.
Well, I think the moral of today's weird news story, all three of them, would be whether you're pricked to death in the ocean, whether the computers rise against you through some sort of random language that they develop, or whether you're gassed to death by a skunk. When you die, have your body taken to Hahn Funeral Home, the only community-run funeral home in Millville, and they are also famous for their green burial services. So
that's important in this day and age.
Yeah, definitely. You want to be eco-friendly when you're being put into the ground. Up next, we're going to be talking about music for MS. We have Tim and Mark. They are waiting with anticipation to jump on the mic and jump into this awesome fundraiser, which has been going on for quite some time now. I met Tim through the Millville Music Festival, and that is where I got introduced to Music for MS. So I'm excited to talk about that. That's up next, right after the break, here on Pittsburgh's Voice for Local Music, The River's Edge.
Come on, go! It's green! Come on! Go!
God damn it, Brian. You need to calm down with the road rage.
I'm sick of these people, these assholes.
The road rage, man. You gotta calm down on the road rage.
Well, I want to get to where we're going. We have a lot of great stuff coming up. We're going to Falling Water,
Bicycle Heaven,
the Mattress Factory,
Tuck Knob,
Trundle Manor. All right, which way do I go? Which way do I go? Come on,
right,
come on.
Right.
Too late now.
Right, come on.
Well, too late now. I got to keep going. I'm not going to sit here like some asshole.
Oh, come on, man.
All right, you're listening to The Culture Cruise. You can find us at riversedgepgh.com.
Your local Pittsburgh area museum podcast.
Yes, riversedgepgh.com, and come take a ride with us.
Welcome back to the River's Edge Radio Network. Brian Crawford, Michael Cohen on Pittsburgh's Voice for Local Music. And speaking of music, we have Mark Dignam and Tim Wolfson here who are talking about Music for MS, which is coming up, and it is going to be coming up August 12th. The doors open, or gates rather, open at 3 p.m. Guys, welcome to the program. Thanks for coming in. And I'm real excited about this. This is a really cool event. You're going into your fourth year.
Yeah, so we, my friend Mitch Arnold and I started this festival as a way to raise money. Mitch's sister, Dorothy, has MS, and he had been doing golf outings and things for a long, long time. Mitch is a musician. In fact, his band is part of the festival, Telecavi. and we decided we were going to do something music related instead of golf ball related. And we originally were going to do just something small in what they call the Hemlock Grove behind the mansion in Hartwood. And within about 3 weeks, that turned into, nope, let's rent the whole place and go hire bands from out of town and make it into a real festival. And we've been successful at that. We've raised a lot of money. We've
$132,000 plus dollars in 3
donated.
years.
That's donated. I mean, that's the checks we've written to the PA Keystone chapter of the MS Society. So we're the little festival that can.
And how do you raise that kind of money? That's incredible.
Well,
in 3 years.
We have,
especially because this is community run, right? It's not like, big bike lobby comes in and funds the bands and funds the equipment and everything like that, right?
we have some very loyal corporate sponsors, and you can see all their names on our website and in the banners and things that will be hanging at the event. We sell quite a few tickets. We sell a lot of beer. Sales of beer and food are important to our fundraising at this festival, so we encourage everybody that comes out to enjoy themselves and to make sure they're neither hungry nor thirsty when they leave, because that money pretty much goes directly to the MS Society. So
yeah, that's great. So this started 4 years ago, or 3 years. You're going into your 4th year.
Right.
What are some of the challenges to just keep the energy going and keep things rolling? Because as you know, you were involved in the Millville Music Festival heavily as one of the main committee members. And whenever you get something going for the first time, you can generate a lot of buzz and excitement. But then I think the trick is to keep that excitement and that energy continuing and keep it rolling.
At the committee level, there's a lot of similarities between the Music for MS Committee and the Millville Music Festival Committee. There's a core group of people who are extremely dedicated and talented and useful, but we're finding this out with Millville Music, Brian. I mean, 5 minutes after we were done, we were thinking of ways to make the next year better.
Sure.
And that doesn't go away. I think we've improved, particularly from a logistics standpoint, everything we've done for Music for MS every year to just make it an easier and better and more enjoyable festival for everybody that comes out.
Do you think that's one of the reasons you're able to keep that excitement going, is because you're always looking towards the future and to make things better? Do you think complacency in the committee would translate to the masses?
I mean, I think people that are complacent find themselves doing less and maybe corresponds to their level of excitement, but just like you and Sarah and Tom and Paul and Tina and Brian, everybody that works on the Millville Music Festival, we've got people who are very dedicated. One reason is, and maybe it's a little bit different, is I have a nephew who lives with MS. Mitch has a sister who lives with MS. We've got 3 board members who live with MS. I mean, this is personal to them. Raising money for MS is something that we're proud of because it makes a difference. I mean, there were some big breakthroughs this year. There's a new drug out called Ocrevus, which is for folks that suffer from the type of MS that's called relapsing remitting, and is proven to be particularly effective. And the research for that drug, in large part, was funded by public dollars, by people who donated to the National MS Society. So,
wow.
And that's what's cool about being a consumer of this event is, we're not asking you to ride a bike or walk or shoot hoops or sign petitions. Come sit on the lawn in Hartwood, listen to some unbelievably good music, have a beer or a lemonade, or an iced tea, eat some food, hang out with your family and friends and neighbors, and make a difference. And everybody, you can do that this Saturday. Come on out, join us.
Mark, you are taking part in this event. What does it mean to you as a musician to be able to use your skills and your talents to help somebody in need, somebody who's suffering from MS?
I always think it's part of my life to be able to give back with what I have, which is great. But I'll answer the question that you asked Tim earlier about what makes it successful, his event. I mean, I get asked to do a lot of benefit stuff over a year. The difference is Tim's personal connection with the musicians and people organize. I'm a big fan of build it and they will come, but build it properly and they'll keep coming.
Yes.
Tim like gets in and picks out music. A lot of people running benefits will come to you and say, the last minute, oh, we need a band. We're doing this fundraiser, and we need music for it. And you're kind of like, well, I like the event, but you go in and you're not always treated that well. Mm-hmm. You're kind of treated like the add-on. You're treated like, just go over there and play, and then please leave out through the back door. But there's a whole different vibe when you work with Tim. You really get the impression that he wants you there. And I think that he very much handpicks. With the result, we all pick up the phone as soon as we see his name on the thing. We say, all right, if Tim's involved, we know it's full on quality. So I think that's what keeps it's been my experience all over the world. There's always that one person who's the hub at the center. Well, I'm sure there's not one person. I'm sure there's many others. But a few people who are believers in the whole thing, which is not just the fundraising, but making sure that everybody involved is treated well and everyone walks away smiling.
Yeah. Well, I think that makes a difference too, just that level of professionalism that comes along.
Exactly.
You kind of know what you're going to expect. For
exactly
example,
what it is.
Yeah, I was involved in an event where they asked me to come and stream and things like that. And it was literally 2 days before the event, they asked me if I had a PA system that the bands could use.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm a radio station, not a music venue. So,
I've been to that gig too.
yeah. So you kind of know going into that, all right, this is going to be maybe not the most together event when they're asking you 2 days beforehand. So, but I know Tim is really, a professional with Music Night on Jupiter and everything else. So I think that definitely adds to an event.
Mm-hmm. Well, the music's important to this event. I mean, without it, it doesn't go. There's no reason for people to come out. And maybe one thing that's different about this event is we pay market rate. We ask the bands what they want, and if we can afford it, we do it. And that goes for the traveling bands as well as the local bands that perform for us. Because professionals should be compensated for what they do, and we turn that investment into a lot more money.
Sure.
Ultimately, because if you think about the crowds, and for folks that may be a little bit worried about what's been happening at Heartwood this summer with the huge crowds, because Bill Deasy has booked just amazing acts out at Heartwood all summer. Our crowd at Music for a Mess is more like a typical Sunday crowd. 2,000 or 3,000 people on the lawn at Heartwood. It is not jammed. It's not crowded. But I call us the little festival that can, because we take those numbers, and so if let's just say we've had somewhere between 6,000 and 9,000 people at the festival the first 3 years, and divide $132,500 by that number, we're obviously doing something that makes people want to donate.
And it starts in the afternoon too, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, 3 in the afternoon. We start up. Can we go through the schedule?
Yeah, we got it right here. 3
so,
and
I'll go backwards. So we start up with a group of young, very talented musicians from the North Allegheny school system, the NA Fiddlers and Folk Chorale, which are actually two separate groups. And actually, one of the performers in Tully Cabby, Manny Monahan, is a music teacher in the NA school system, and she's responsible for gathering these kids and bringing them to the festival. And they do traditional music and also do some contemporary music, sometimes by the artists that we're featuring at the festival in choral style or fiddle style, which is really cool. We also are then going to be featuring Tully Cabby, which is a local folk rock group with a Celtic twist, and the president of Music for MS, Mike Arnold, is in that band, as well as some other folks. Chris Clem, who people may know from playing way back when.
I know Chris.
Mandolin and Devilish Mary and some other bands way back when. He plays in the Cheerly Band occasionally. He'll be playing actually Friday night before the festival. Cheerly Band playing at the Smalls.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I saw them at the Millvale Fest.
Yeah, they're fun. They're a lot of fun. Then next up in the bright burning sunlight, I hope, is Mr. Dignam and his expanded House of Song. I'm so excited for that part of the show. In fact, for people who don't know who I am, I'll be the old fat bald guy in the tie-dye volunteer t-shirt standing, right in the center of the lawn, screaming along to Tallahassee. So that's how you'd be able to find me. And I've been guilty. I'm that guy. So I apologize for that, but I can't help myself. I love that song.
Cool.
And then we move into the traveling portion of the show. So we always try to have 2 or 3 regional or national acts. And in fact, we have, this is an international act. We have Seamus Egan Project. Seamus is the founder of a band, Solace, that originates out of Philadelphia, but they're widely considered to be the foremost Irish traditional instrumental band in the United States. And he's bringing along one of his bandmates, Moira Smiley, to perform with them, as well as some other folks. And they'll be doing music that are familiar to the people who are fans of Solace, as well as some other stuff. So up to that point, it's sort of been an Irish festival, right? And then we're going to completely change gears, and we're going to finish up with Donna the Buffalo from upstate New York. And, Donna describes themselves as performing original American dance music, and I think that's about as close as you're going to get to trying to put a label on them. They have a heavy groove. There's a B3 organ in the band, electric guitar, electric bass, but you also are going to catch, strong Zydeco, Appalachian, old-time music influences in this music. And there will be a lot of people in tie-dye shirts, I think, bouncing up and down in front of the stage. They have a real good following. I've been going to see them at the Great Blue Heron Festival for 12 or 15 years now, and that's a festival that's been in existence for 26 years, solely because of Donna the Buffalo. They also run the grassroots, or the featured group for the grassroots festivals that are in Trumansburg, New York, and in Shikori Hills, and then there's also one outside of Miami, Florida. So
I'm looking forward to meeting. I got to sit outside on their bus outside here one night, and we sat around, myself and Bruce Foley and all the guys from Donna the Buffalo, and we ended up singing songs for like half the night.
Nice.
And I've never actually seen them do their whole full show. So I'm looking forward to actually sitting back and watching them do the whole thing.
Yeah, so if there's any members of the herd out there, you know who you are, and you haven't bought your tickets yet, get on it. We want to see you on Saturday. Come out and join us at Music for MS.
Yeah,
It'll be epic.
It's going to be a fun event. Yeah, I'm very excited to see how this comes together, and it's such a great cause to go into its 4th year. It's nice to see something like this continue to grow, and I know there's going to be lots of food trucks, and there's going to be beer, so you can enjoy yourself while you're at the event. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So before we wrap up the show, we're going to wrap up the show with a song here from you, Mark, which I'm excited about. We always jump into our Why the World is Going to End segment, and this week I'm actually going to end with a tease. So why is the world coming to an end? Because we're all drinking water with lead, and we've got a new development that has come out, which has proven me right, Brian Crawford, as always. So we've got that next week. We'll be talking with Chelsea Wagner, our county controller, about the lead issue in Pittsburgh, the lead pipes. She's going to be in next week. We're going to pre-record that interview sometime this week, so you have that to look forward to. But do not forget, it's August the 12th. The doors open at 3 p.m. at Hardwood Acres, Music for MS. You do not want to miss it. Mark, what do we have for today to wrap things up?
I'm going to do a new song.
A new song?
A new song.
Nice.
I haven't played anywhere else really yet. I don't even know what it's called.
Oh, great.
So,
Untitled. So right here, New on the River's Edge.
Okay. Don't you know? Got a blanket and a flask and a small campfire waiting on the road for you. Don't you know? Got a blanket and a flask, small campfire waiting on the road for you. Sparks and embers, coiling around the flame. Sounds and breezes call your name, sing your stretched out to the rolling sky. Oh, holy night. Oh, holy night. I'm stretched out to the rolling sky. Oh, I saw you on the train. And I was shy, you were shy. La 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 la. Oh, holy night. Oh, holy night. I'm stretched out to the rolling sky. Oh, holy night. Oh, holy night. I'm stretched out to the rolling sky. No such thing as far away. 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 Don't you know? Blanket of flies, small campfire, waiting on the road for you.
New music from Mark Dignam here on the River's Edge Live. You can see him August 12th. Gates open at 3 p.m. at Heartwood Acres. Tim, you have one more thing.
Yeah, I'm so flustered because I'm sitting here next to Mark Dignam. I knew he was going to play music. I don't think I mentioned, if you want to buy tickets, you should go to musicforms.org. It looks like musicforms.org or Music for MS on Facebook, and there's links on both of those places to get you tickets. And we don't charge any ticket agency fees. We run ticket sales ourselves. So $15 ticket is $15 ticket, $25
So no
ticket.
printed at home fee?
Nothing.
Nothing. Wow.
Nothing.
That's incredible.
Nothing. And if you forget your ticket, we'll look you up on a list when you come to the gate. So old-fashioned,
Fantastic.
but it's going to work.
If there's a reason why the world's going to come to an end, it's because not only you're paying processing fees, but now you're paying printing at home fees everywhere else. But Music for MS, you can avoid that. Michael, what do you have coming up this week?
All right, this is a packed week. Tuesday, you can find me at the 10th anniversary of Brillo Box Comedy. It's a party and a show. All right, Thursday, I'm at the Pittsburgh Comedy Festival competition, stand-up competition at Arcade. Friday, Plate and Bowl, which is going to be a new restaurant/venue in East Liberty, is opening. I'm going to be there with my my River's Edge co-conspirator, Liz Victory. And if I do well on Thursday at Arcade, you'll find me there on Saturday as well. So come on out. Plate and Bowl, we're excited about it. A bunch of folks from the radio station are kind of involved with it. And so it's going to be at 5904 Bryant Street. East Liberty needs another venue.
There you go. So don't forget, August 12th, Music for MS, Heartwood Acres. The gates open at 3 p.m. I'm Brian Crawford, broadcasting from Mr. Small's Theater You're listening to Pittsburgh's Voice for Local Music, The River's Edge. I will catch you next Monday. Chelsea Wagner. We're going to make that work. Do not miss it.